Welcome back, guys, to another video. Super happy and grateful to have David, founder of Juicebox AI, to give us a few minutes of his day to give us more of a deeper dive of the exciting product they are building. David, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Now, before we actually pull the curtains back and put eyes to your actual incredible product, would you just mind sharing for the audience like a little bit more about Juicebox? What's your mission? What are you guys excited to build with the team over there?
For sure. So Juicebox is an AI recruiting platform. We help our customers source, assess, and engage talent. We do that in one comprehensive platform that's often able to replace 4 or 5 individual tools into one unified interface. We're a fairly young company, so we got started 2.5 years ago, exactly the same time that ChatGPT came out. And that's kind of been a big underlying theme of a lot of what we do is implementing generative AI in those workflows. Our mission is to be the place that every search starts. And so for any type of role, any type of seniority, Juicebox should be the first place to go.
And real quick, what makes you guys different from other startups utilizing ChatGPT or LLMs or AIs?
For sure. So for 95% of companies in the space, and the easiest way to kind of check this is when they got started as a company. A lot of the initial work was done based on machine learning and kind of matching profiles and based on that. There was a lot of great work done with that, but with the kind of emergence of large language models, there's entirely new ways of doing those things. And so we've taken advantage of that by building the platform from the ground up with large language models as the core way of searching, summarizing, reaching out, and more. And so rather than kind of tacking on Gen AI or having it be like a kind of a feature that we showcase in marketing, it's really fundamental. It's fundamental to the way the actual search runs. It's how we do the matching. It's what we visually show to our users as well. And so I'd say that's the biggest difference. And then in terms of outcomes, it makes for faster workflows. You can find those profiles faster and you can engage them better.
All right. I'm excited. You ready, Ryan?
Let's do it. Yeah, excited to dive in.
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Let me go ahead and share my screen. That screen sharing all right for you?
Yep.
Looks good.
Cool. So I'm starting directly in the heart of the Juicebox platform, our search engine. We can search in a few different ways, either using a prompt, such as software engineers in SF working at Series B companies skilled in Python and Node, or by uploading a job description, Boolean, or manual filter selection. Let's say we want to do a search for software engineers, but I'll make it NYC to switch it up. 5+ years experience at Series A through C startups, and skilled in Python and Node. Put together an initial version of our search based on an initial set of filters. We can click edit filters to take a closer look.
Are you struggling with getting responses from clients? Are you an established recruiter who is struggling to break 6 figures and beyond? Are you looking to start recruiting part-time and you don't know how? Do you feel burned out and stuck spending hours and hours each day in manual tasks like sourcing and outreaching and feeling like you have no time to actually run and grow your business? I am absolutely happy to announce that we have launched our own recruitment, educational, and coaching program to help you on your journey. We made sure that everything I've learned in the past 10 years, the tips, the strategies that really helped me build multiple 7 figures of placements on my own desk with some of the best companies in the world will be included in there. We'll also be including things like how you can build an acquisition system that brings in clients every month to your agency hands-free, how you can maximize the probability of a positive close during negotiations, how you can automate and outsource your day-to-day operations so that you don't have to spend hours per day researching or sourcing, how you can figure out the new and modern way to scale your agency that minimizes risk and maximize your upside potential. And we've also included much more. The best thing about this is not only will you be getting amazing content, but we will also handhold you and be with you every step of the way to make sure that you are held accountable and you crush your goals. We'll also share with you our own tech stack, tools, and plugins we actually use, plus everything else we know about automation and AI to help you save time, work smarter, and not be a slave to your business. The exciting news is that we've actually rolled this out to a select few people earlier this year, and I'm excited to see them well on the way to multiple 6 figures, with some breaking $30,000 to $50,000 per month already. So if you're interested to be a successful recruiter that can dominate in any market conditions, make sure you click on the link below to chat with another member of our team, and we're happy to chat with you to see if we can help you out. Make sure you jump on this really quickly. See you on the other side.
Now, by default, Juicebox combines over 30 different data sets. That's profile data, like LinkedIn, GitHub, Stack Overflow, and more. But it's also company data. So for example, we know what the funding stages of different companies were while people work there. Put together an initial version of our search based on an initial set of filters. We can click edit filters to take a closer look, and you'll notice the depth of our filters menu. I'm not going to go through all of these, but just highlighting a few, one of them being our minimum average tenure. So you can easily select for minimum of 2 years per employer, avoiding that job hoppiness, or our companies field, where you can do pretty advanced things. for example, fintech companies in the US. Add that as a prompt, click Ask AI, and get a suggested list of companies that you might want to source from. And so in just a couple seconds, we'll see all those companies appear over here. You could even save those as a preset for the future. And now if you wanted to go one step further, you could say they should have worked at these companies during specific years, say between 2019 and 2024, or even at specific funding stages, kind of doing secondary search on top of those companies. One more section I'll highlight here is our power filters. So you can filter for diversity, career growth, experiences, security clearances. And now I'll hit save changes on this for now and run the search. We'll see an initial list of profiles, as well as some of the different data sources that they're matched. The reasoning for why they were matched is written in real time by a large language model, describing why this candidate matches our prompt. And we can click into them to get some additional details, including highlights on the companies they've worked at, the current funding stages of their firms, skills, and more. As we scroll down, we'll also see their technical profile, so their GitHub account, as well as their skill map, where we aggregate those skills from different sources. Now, this is only the first step of a Juicebox search. So in this case, we're still operating under a filter-based mode. It might be similar to what you know from other platforms, but probably some additional data sources and some cool summaries. Now, where Juicebox's real power shines through is if we head over to the Autopilot. This is the second step of the search. And so what we can do now is add criteria to further refine it. It's going to then assess profiles based on those criteria. We already see a few examples here, like led a project or a team in a previous role. I'm just going to switch that up and I'll say has worked at fintech companies in the last 3 years. I'll also say extensive experience with cloud technologies, specifically AWS or Azure. And then just to make it even more tricky, I'll say has used large language models or similar in their most recent role. Now, these natural language criteria apply on top of the criteria we already set. So it's still going to take that same search pool and refine it even further. Let's get started with that assessment. We'll start seeing the profiles load in over here. And then in just a moment, we'll see the evaluation start to happen. So we'll get a thumbs up for every criteria that the candidate matches and a thumbs down for every criteria that they don't match. Now let's start taking a look at some of the initial profiles. We'll see that these 4 different columns match the criteria we set up earlier. So worked in fintech companies in the last 3 years. Nicholas's case worked at American Express and Altro, specifically experienced in AWS. No evidence of experience using large language models, but does have that involvement in cross-functional teams. Based on that, we have an overall match score, and the candidates are ranked from that as well.
Follow-up question, David, if you don't mind. I wanted to dive a little deeper into that third point where it says not a match, and it says there's no mention on Nicholas's profile for this specific attribute. And so I was just curious if you could share a little more about the reasoning that goes into how you rank someone if you're unsure if they meet a certain criteria. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So, and it's a great question. We can actually also compare it against this yellow thumbs up. So just to give an example here, for example, for Sumit, they mentioned implementing generative AI tech, but unclear if it is specifically large language models. And so we have these 3 levels of certainty: not a match, potential fit, or good match, which is the green icon. Any case where there's a directional indication or we have context or reason to believe that they are using Gen AI. So say a candidate was working at one of the foundational model companies like OpenAI. We would have reason to believe that they're working on Gen AI related tech, but we don't know it for certain because they could be in a different role within the company that has nothing to do with it. And so that could also be a case where we infer that they're a potential fit, but we don't have that certainty. And so I'd almost think of the kind of red, yellow, green also as like a certainty scale of how sure are we that there is evidence to match the criteria. And a red one doesn't mean that the candidate doesn't have the skill. It just means that we don't have evidence on it based on the profile information that we have.
Got you. Appreciate that.
If I may, David, another question is, it says you can process up to 750. So what happens if I want more?
Yep. So right now we do it in batches of 750 to kind of balance the speed with comprehensiveness. The 750 that it goes through are actually the 750 top matches. So it's not like a random selection of 750. It is the 750 that are the top of your search pool. Now, if you wanted to go further, 1, you can contact us and we can actually bump that number up for you. And then 2, the other approach is changing your search filters. And so if you were, for example, to add an additional skill or an additional keywords, it's going to change the ranking. You can then rerun the autopilot and get the next batch or the top batch of 750 based on your updated search filters.
Is the autopilot an extra cost?
No, the autopilot is free and the increased autopilot limit is also free.
So what about folks that are also concerned with accuracy, right? So when you did your more broad general search, I think 7,500 results populated. So how do people know like that's it, right? For people who are kind of concerned about, oh my God, I'm using LinkedIn, a couple other platforms. Is Juicebox meant to just be a supplemental or can I be more comfortable leaning on Juicebox more to be my one-stop shop end-to-end platform, right? And so a lot of feedback we get is like when you do a search, number 1, one, how comprehensive is your 30 plus data sets that you guys are scraping from? And number two, like, how accurate are the results? And then I guess that's the main feature of the Autopilot, to make sure like you can further refine it, especially the top folks. But we'll love to just kind of ask another angle.
Yeah, I love that question. So comprehensiveness is something we specifically measure and test against. I agree, it's super important, especially some of our customers are executive search firms. It's like really essential that they map every potential person in their talent pool, because it might also be a talent pool of only, say, 30 people. And so missing a few candidates there makes a really big difference. We're typically able to match 20 to 30% more profiles for a given role. And that is like high quality matches than competing platforms. And the reason for that, kind of going back to our large language model based architecture, we do have filters, but we also read through the full profile, see, does that match what we're looking for? Yes, no, maybe. And based on that, include them in the search results. And so that combined with the other data sources that we have. So for example, rather than relying on someone writing, I worked at a health tech company, we're actually able to know what does that company do. It is in health tech, and match the person based on that as well. And so those kind of small nuanced differences are what really increases the total number of matches, total number of quality matches.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's please continue.
For sure. So the next kind of workflow that we're going to go through is our shortlisting and outreach. But before we hop into that, there's one more piece on the search side, which is our insights. Insights really powerful in order to get a visualization and understanding of your talent pool. So we'll see the geographic distribution around New York. We can see some data in terms of years of experience, average tenure, top skills, employers, and more. These insights are quite expansive, so I'm just briefly going to scroll through without mentioning each of them. And then I'm also going to highlight that they are interactive. So let's say we notice that a lot of these profiles have experience at Datadog. I'm going to click this row, have it open up a pop-up highlighting just those profiles who are currently employed at Datadog. We could even open that up in a new search to further refine. You can also shortlist directly from here, which is saving those profiles, or click into a different one to continue your sourcing. This is a cool sourcing approach because it really slices the data in a nice way. You could go company by company. You could even expand this list of companies, get even more to search through, etc. And also use that to then create new search queries. And so this might bring inspiration for companies that you hadn't previously considered, but that are frequently represented in the talent pool.
Love the visualization here. How many searches can you do with the subscription? Is it unlimited?
Unlimited searches and also unlimited insights. The insights is only available on the growth plan and above. So that's kind of our medium tier. And I'll go in more depth on the different plans later as well.
Gotcha. And then when you did the general search before, and then you expanded the filters, if someone wants to do a manual search, are they going to be seeing the same filters basically? That's the same?
Yes, okay. Exactly. All the same filters. So same search functionality on every plan. Only exception to that is the power filter. So things like security clearances, promoted, etc. Then let's head back to that autopilot. Now, typical workflow from here is, we've identified some of our top matches. I'm just going to select a few of them and add them to my shortlist. We could also sequence them directly or export them, be that as a PDF file, a CSV, or directly into our ATS. In this case, I have Ashby connected. For now, I'm just going to shortlist them. And so we'll see them start appearing on our shortlisted contacts page on the left. The shortlist acts as the way for you to manage all of the profiles that are in that specific project. I skipped this in the beginning, but I've been operating in this new project for the past search. That's basically the demo project I'm using here, which is also why we see the profiles we just shortlisted, as well as some profiles I've shortlisted on previous time. I can do a few things from this page. First, I can bulk select again, add them into an email sequence, export them, or create a smart report. Let me briefly show you the smart report. I can include a quick bullet point summary of each profile. I'll call this our NYC SWE profile shortlist. I can even upload my logo so we can brand it ourselves. And it's now going to generate a 4 bullet point summary of each of those profiles for me. I can still make any edits. So here we'll see that summary as well as the different links. I can add in additional notes if I want to, or if it looks good to me, I can confirm and generate a PDF. We can then export that PDF and it'll still have all their accounts linked. So anyone can still open up their LinkedIn profiles, etc. And I'll just show that download here as well.
Gotcha. That's cool. So a great use case of this is perhaps like internal recruiters sharing these with their hiring managers, or perhaps agency sharing these notes with their clients.
That's exactly right.
Gotcha.
Continuing that theme of collaborating with others, we can also actually invite them to fully review the profiles. So in this case, I'm going to request a review. I can either choose someone who actually has a seat or someone external who does not need to have a paid seat to review these profiles. So in this case, I'm just going to assign it to myself. I'm going to request the review from myself. Oh, looks like I already have that. So now if I were to refresh, or if I came in as a hiring manager, I'd be able to review those profiles and take a closer look through them.
Quick question for you, David, on the report. So I love the report and the 4 bullet points you have per candidate. Now, I'm assuming all of that, the bullet points are AI generated. If I wanted to make a change to all the reports, like let's say I would like to make all of the bullet points shorter, is that somewhere I can put in to make that adjustment?
Kind of. So let me briefly open up those options again. So we have a few different options here: paragraph, bullet points, or spotlight. With the spotlight, you also get the option to steer it a bit. So I could say, say focus on backend experience. And so now if we generate it with that, it'll focus more on the backend experience while generating those summaries. In this case, including large scale distributed data operations, etc. And then these stars kind of indicate that it will be highlighted in the final output. So it has a little bit of formatting based on that as well.
Gotcha. Cool.
Awesome. Then from here, I'm now going to head over into our email sequences. So Juicebox has full outreach capabilities built in. We'll start off by seeing this dashboard at the top and then our sequences below. In the dashboard, I can see that I sent out a bunch of emails on March 14th, and then it's been a little bit slower since then. I'll also get some stats on my overall open rate, reply rate, click rate, and more. And I can see the specific sequences I've created below. Let's say I want to create a new sequence, and I'm going to use our template software engineering sequence to get started. Now, I'll see this as a multi-step email sequence, starting off with this email sent from my email. I could also switch that to be from a colleague or from one of my other connected mailboxes. We have standard variables like first name or current company, but we also have AI command. And so we can say concise sentence of the candidate's relevant work experience. And so now on the right-hand side, if we preview that draft for Mohammed, we can click test AI command, and it's going to personalize the messaging. Mentioning their work with large-scale distributed data operations is exactly the kind of work expertise we're looking for. The more context you add, the more it'll be able to personalize as well. So let's say I want to say focus specifically on their work with backend systems. So if I now were to test this AI command again, it'll switch it up a little bit. I guess in this case, it already mentioned some of their backend work, but depending on what the candidate experience is, we can steer that personalization that way as well. Now, as we scroll down, we'll see a couple of the follow-up emails. So in this case, it sends a check-in after 2 days, and we can send another check-in after another 2 days. Now, to get an even higher response rate, we could add another step, which we could switch over to be a LinkedIn connection request or even a LinkedIn message. Juicebox will never automate LinkedIn fully, so we're not able to actually send that email on your behalf. That is so that both we and you are still compliant with LinkedIn's terms of service. However, we can create that task for you, so it's tracked in Juicebox. You can still measure your response rate, and we make it really easy for you to send. So basically, we'll already put together that personalization. All you have to do is click copy and paste, and then mark that as done.
I appreciate that. One of the things that we take very seriously is not do anything to piss off LinkedIn. And so I appreciate the conservative, careful approach here.
For sure. Yeah. And the added benefit of that is it is a much more sustainable route as well. And I think there's often temptations to take shortcuts in certain steps, but we try one, we as a company, of course, don't want to do that. But then two, we also want to suggest best practices that we think align with that.
Question, David. So how many emails or inboxes can we connect under a single subscription?
Yep. So it depends on your plan. On the starter plan, I believe it's a single mailbox per user. On the growth plan, it's 2 mailboxes per user. And then on the business plan, it's 4 mailboxes per user, though it can actually scale up as well if you require. That goes kind of hand in hand with the contact credits you have. So on the business plan, you actually have unlimited contact credits. So you could be sending out as many emails as you'd like.
And then for a business plan, we'd have to contact a member of your team to discuss that further in terms of pricing.
Right. So I can share some indicative pricing on that as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool. So let me just finish up this sequence. I'm going to click out and save it. And now I'll go through the flow of adding profiles into this new sequence I just created. So let me head back to my shortlist. I'm going to select a few of the profiles that are going to appear here, and I'm going to add them to the sequence we just created. I'll say prefer personal emails, but fall back to professional. So now I'm going to do the personalization and show me a preview before I hit send. So we'll see that personalization. We can still make any edits, add in something ourselves, and also see the follow-up step schedule. I can see that for all profiles that we've added in, and then click confirm and add to start send. Once you've sent, we provide full analytics. So for a given sequence, you're able to see where the profiles we've actually contacted, what is their reply status. If you click into them, you can even see the full email conversation you've had with them within Juicebox, and we'll also automatically categorize them for you. So if they've replied, we'll categorize them as interested or not interested. So you can easily filter by your success rate as well.
So for the folks in the shortlist, if you action them into a sequence that uses 1 contact credit, is that correct?
That's right. And no matter how many steps you have in the sequence, it's just 1 contact credit, and you can then essentially own that contact once you've used your credit.
Okay. And how many contact credits do you get under each plan?
Yep. So it starts with 250 on starter, 750 on growth, and unlimited on business. If you add multiple seats, the contact credits multiply as well. So if you have 2 seats on growth, you have 1,500 contact credits.
Is there a way to manually add someone's email without using a contact credit on Juicebox? What if they're using other tools already, right?
Yep. So we are actually adding that feature tomorrow. So in the current version, I can't yet show that.
We're getting breaking news here.
but by the time this video is live, you will be able to add an email without using a contact credit. And then that being said, the way we get the contact data is actually by working with a bunch of different data partners, which are probably also the same providers that you use individually. Because we're able to do this at scale, we're able to provide you multiple at once. And so not only will you get better coverage, but you'll also get higher accuracy by using the built-in contact data we have on Juicebox.
Understood. Okay.
Cool. Then let's take a quick look at our email analytics, pretty in-depth analytics that we have here, including details on your conversions, how many sequences you're running, and more. There's too many charts for us to go through all of them, so I'm just going to highlight a few. The first one I like to highlight is our replies by sequence step. So you can easily see how many replies you're getting for each sequence step, but also the breakdown between interested and not interested. And so in this case, disinterested is the green color and blue is interested. And so we get still quite a few responses on the second and third step, but the interested rate is a lot lower. So most of the interested responses actually do come in on the first step. However, in some cases, the interested responses still take multiple days until they come in. And so in this case, on the days until first reply step, we can get some additional data on that too.
And this data, this is for all the sequences together, correct? That's not for individual sequences?
That's for all sequences together, though you can filter those as well.
Gotcha. Cool.
Then I'll head over to our integrations. The one, you can connect your emails, including both Microsoft and Gmail. You can also set custom limits per connected mailbox. So let's say I want to send up to 200 emails on one mailbox while I want to keep it to 100 for another mailbox. You're able to make those changes. You can import your LinkedIn connections to be able to search through your existing network. And you can connect to your ATS to easily export or import profiles. You'll also be able to import job descriptions. So you can use that to automatically kick off a search, which is kind of a neat feature as well. We integrate with most major ATS and CRMs. So there's kind of a larger list over here, as well as a few CRMs. That was it in terms of the initial platform walkthrough. What I would head over to next is walk through pricing in a little bit more detail, unless there's any questions you have on the core platform.
For the audience that are curious, who are your biggest users? Are they larger teams, larger agencies, corporate teams, good mix?
Yeah, we have over 1,000 customers. The customer profiles are almost evenly split. So between agency, search firms, staffing firms, as well as in-house recruiting team. We work with recruiting teams as small as a single recruiter, be that someone independent, freelance, or in a small in-house team, all the way through pretty large enterprise recruitment teams, as well as some of the largest recruiting agencies. And so it's pretty diverse. Our goal is to serve every recruiter.
And what is like an area of or a feature or part of the product that you and your team are really focused on, most excited about, or wanting to improve into the future?
Yeah, so the feature that a lot of our customers love is our Autopilot. That was the kind of assessment with the thumbs up, thumbs down for each profile. That's also kind of a foreshadowing of some of the future functionality we're building. So more and more in that like large scale AI driven profile matching. We recently launched our Juicebox agent as well, which kind of goes in that direction too. And so that's an additional way where Juicebox can source for you automatically and reach out to additional contacts every day. That agent also continues to get better and better. And so that's been a big focus for the Juicebox team too.
Are you able to walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it. So let me head over to the project. This is our kind of more organizational page. So we'll see the different projects we have live, as well as some of the different agents I have running. Now, instead of creating another project, I'm actually going to go ahead and create an agent. And let me call this our infrastructure engineer agent. So let's say we're hiring for an infrastructure engineer in San Francisco, 5+ years experience, skilled in Python and experience working at a startup. Now, the initial step of this search might look similar to the other search. However, what it does in the background is quite different. So it's actually going to be running multiple different search strategies in parallel right now. And then it's going to show us a subset of profiles for our review. We can then give an approval or disapproval of each of those profiles to really train the agent. So that's the step we're at now. I'm going to click review profiles and we'll start seeing our initial set of suggested matches. So we'll see the profile on the left, including their full profile details. In this case, Joe is an infrastructure engineer at PlanetScale. We get this reasoning of why the profile was matched, experience working at a startup and skilled in Python, and we can approve or reject. Let's say we approve Joe, but we find a reason to reject Dennis. Just as an example, I'm going to say they should currently be working at a startup, ideally early stage. And so that's some additional context beyond our initial search. You could even add multiple criteria. So just to come up with another one, I'll say should not have attended Berkeley. Sorry to pick on Berkeley, but just as an example, we'll click submit there, and it's now going to adjust its search based on that feedback and improve its matching. So it knows that we approved Joe, but then disapproved the second profile and give it some reasoning. And so after a few seconds, we'll see a new set of profiles for our review. This cycle can kind of continue endlessly until you've given it full feedback and approved 3 profiles in a row. So we'll see the new criteria, should be working at a startup right now and should not have attended Berkeley. So in this case, Pradeep matches that, currently at a Series B company and attended UC Irvine. So I'm going to click approve, and I'll do the same thing for the next profiles as well. With that, we fully configured the search part of the agent, and we can now choose what we want it to do. Our recommended approach is using an email sequence. So I want it to reach out to those candidates using my ML engineer sequence. For users who don't want to reach out directly, you can also create a shortlist instead. So in that case, it'll be like a list building use case rather than email. I'll click confirm and choose to contact 25 profiles every day. Finally, I can either review them individually or reach out automatically. If I do that, it's just going to email them every day. If I review individually, I'm going to give it a final thumbs up or thumbs down. We'll now start sourcing. We'll get some confetti, and then it's going to start off with the sourcing process. There's the confetti. And so this is going to take like 2 to 3 minutes while this bar loads up to 100%. Just so that we don't have to wait all that time, I'm actually going to head over to another agent that is already running so we can see what that's looking like. So I actually don't remember which role this agent is set up for, but looks like this agent is actually on automatic mode. So it's been shortlisting profiles. When we have it on manual mode, it'll still ask us to review. When it's on automatic mode, it directly goes ahead, finds the profiles and adds them to our shortlist. Let me actually just pull up another agent that is set to email mode because it might be helpful for us too. So let's see about this agent. About that, looks like I have, here we go. So here's a real active agent. We're able to see that email sequence overview, as well as some of the stats. How many profiles has the agent reached out to for us? What's our open rate? What's our reply rate? And then which profiles do we still want to approve? So because we chose that individual approval flow, we'll just have to go in, review them, click approve and send email, or reject them to give more feedback. As we click through them, we'll be sending out all those emails. And once we feel that it's like sufficiently configured and we trust it, we can switch that setting over to automatic as well. And so then it'll go back into that automatic flow and reach out to these candidates every single day. The responses go straight into your inbox, and you can keep track of it from the agent dashboard too. It also has full context of what you're doing in other parts of the platform. So if you've separately reached out to someone or shortlisted them, it's not going to reach out to them again. I would think of the agent as an assistant running for you in the background and doing some daily work that you can give feedback to, see how it's doing and get the benefits there.
That's great. Is it an additional cost?
Depends on the plan. For our self-serve plans, it is an add-on. And so currently you'll get 2 agents for $300 a month. And then for some of our larger packages, they can be included as well.
And then are you able to increase the number of profiles the agents contact on a daily basis?
Right now it's 15, 25 or 35. The reason for that is most of our users do like a 3 or 4 step sequence. So if you have 35 profiles per day with a 3-step sequence, you're looking at around 100 email sends per day. If you have 3 or 4 agents running in parallel, that can pretty quickly go to like 400, 500 cents. And so just to protect your mailboxes, right now we have those 3 options. We may be adding higher number options in the future.
Okay.
And a quick follow-up too, David. I know you touched on this a little bit, but I want to really just drill into the use case for this agent, especially on the automatic mode. So if I have it set to where it automatically sources for me and it automatically reaches out, I see the power in that. I think that's incredible. But now my question is, how do you and the Juicebox team think about that? Do you think of the use case for this being like, I have so many roles to work on where I just don't have the time and bandwidth to source this role. I'll let the agent run with it. Or is this more of, I'm doing a similar search, I'm just looking for some extra firepower on a search I'm doing as well?
Yep. So we've seen teams adopt it in both ways. I'd say that the thing that we've seen that's most effective is having the agent just as a continuous source. Usually what we see our customers do is, they kind of source in waves. Maybe there's like additional urgency to source on a given day or in a given week, and then they'll spend a disproportionate higher amount of time sourcing. That also means we're missing out on those candidates in other days. And so the agent is quite different to that. It's much more continuous. It's always going to be reaching out to more profiles. You have a steady stream of candidates, and it's also more hands-off. And so we see our users setting them up once, letting them roll, and then if you need to do additional sourcing on top, kind of working in parallel with the agent when you need to.
And is the agent a feature that you can also cancel anytime if you want to stop it?
Yeah, exactly. So let's say you have a really busy month and you want to scale up your agents, that's possible. And you can scale down the next month as well. We don't try to lock you in on anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic alternative because, without that, most people have to just resort to hiring, right? Either a contractor, a part-timer, another full-timer, expenses and overhead shoots up significantly. So this is a great way to kind of expand the fulfillment arm affordably with technology.
the full context of your org. So as it learns from you and like the type of feedback you give it, it understands that. And with the next role, it'll be even faster to configure. Just to show the live agent we just put together for the infrastructure engineer, I think it'll have, so it's already found its first batch of profiles just to show how fast it can be. And so if you now click review leads, this was the one we just set up with that experience at a startup, focus on Python and infrastructure engineer. And so we can now start approving and sending emails to these 25 candidates.
Just like that.
Wow, that's incredible.
Thank you. Well, then as the final piece, should we head over to the pricing details or any other questions before that?
Yeah, I think let's go over pricing.
All right, let me pull that up. Actually, that reminds me, there's a bunch of different cool settings as well. Just to highlight a few, one is on the mailbox side. We have this email strict mode, really good for your deliverability. If you've ever struggled with deliverability, number one reason is that you're sending frequent emails to bounced email addresses. If you activate email strict mode, you reach out to profiles who have verified email addresses. And so if any profiles like uncertain, anything like that will stop you from reaching out. Really good for your deliverability. Sorry, I got distracted myself there. Heading over to billing and pulling up those details. So we have 3 different plans. Starter starts at $79 a month on annual, $99 a month on monthly. Growth plan, $149 a month when on monthly, and $129 on annual. And then the business plan, which is more custom. Key differences between the plans. One is the contact credits, $250 if you're on starter, $750 if you're on growth, and unlimited on business, as well as some of the features. So biggest change on the growth plan is going to be the talent insights. Whereas on the business plan, you get the CRM integration, you get more detailed usage analytics, and you get hiring manager seats. You can scale the growth plan up to multiple users. If you do that, the pricing increases based on the number of seats. Pause there briefly. Any questions on the pricing?
So when it comes to contact credits, the only way right now to increase it, aside from going to business, is just increasing the number of seats. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
We are planning on giving some additional flexibility with that. It's a little bit of a process though. So for now, the only option is to add an additional seat, but you still have that flexibility of adding and removing if you need to.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, that all makes sense to me.
Yeah, looks great. And it's actually very competitive and affordable to all the other platforms out there.
Which is also intentional. We want every recruiter to be able to use Juicebox and be on there right away. I've often been told, including from other founders, it's like you either have to be the best platform or you have to be the cheapest. My reasoning is, why can't we do both? I think we have the best software platform, at least I like to think so. And of course, I'm not. And I also think we have very competitive pricing. And so, we want every user to be able to use Juicebox, and we think it will benefit every recruiter.
Yeah, especially with like smaller agency teams or solo recruiters, they're so price sensitive, right? And so $99 a month, or what is it, $79 on annual billing. I mean, that's very affordable.
Yep.
Wow, look at Team Juicebox giving other platforms and the OG LinkedIn run for its money. But one question I would like to ask you as we're kind of ending this is, what is your team's overall kind of vision? What gets you excited about the future here and the kind of potential of your product?
Yeah. So
in the recruitment landscape.
The recruitment landscape overall, let me just unshare my screen while we kind of talk again. I think in the recruitment landscape overall, the tech stack had some pretty drastic shifts as the internet era really exploded, and like we got LinkedIn, we got all these online data sets. But then from there, it hasn't changed that much since then. So we still have essentially data style search, so filtering through profile lists and then using those to reach out. I think AI and large language models are like the first time that can actually drastically change. Maybe the first time in like 15 years that we can have a really big impact on the workflow. That gets me really excited. That's what we're trying to build the product for. And then in the end, I think it makes recruitment much more feasible for many more roles, especially for outbound recruiting. And so we think it ultimately leads to more opportunities for people who are a great fit for a given role, including opportunities that they probably didn't even know were around before. And so our goal is to help create better matches that way, be that on the company side or on the candidate side. And that's what we're building for.
Do you think AI can get to a point where it can start having like a higher level of deduction with nuances of a person's background? So aside from just going off of strict keywords and what's available on the LinkedIn profile and other sources. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're looking for someone like, maybe let's just do software engineers because you did that before. So what if you're looking for a software engineer who's strong in Python with startup experience. Now, what if there's a software engineer that's really strong in Python, but didn't mention Python in his entire LinkedIn profile? Would the AI get to a point like, maybe because they worked at this company's known for having this stack, or maybe if they've done X, Y, and Z project, there's a high probability this person knows Python, right? Do you think like your product can do that right now? Or if not, like, do you think it can get there?
Yes. So I think right now, I'd say Juicebox does this sometimes. So for certain skills or for certain instances where we have high confidence, actually very similar to the reasoning you mentioned, like we know this company uses this tech stack, or because they worked on this initiative, it likely means they have experience with this. Those are exactly the type of inferences we make in our potential match category in the Autopilot. So that was that yellow thumbs up category. Now, it's not perfect. So it's not going to be comprehensive. There are additional matches that we are able to make and that we're working towards. I think within like even the next 6 to 12 months, that will get really, really good.
I'm excited for that. Brian, any questions?
I think I'm all good. Yeah, you answered them all, David. That was awesome. I appreciate you walking us through the platform.
Thanks for having me on again. This was fun.
Yeah, this is great. And lastly, David, if people want to reach out to you, where could they find you?
Yeah, find us at juicebox.ai and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. And if you'd like to set up a call, we're happy to do that too. We do one-on-one demos as well, and our team is happy to assist.
Cool. Well, once again, thank you for your time. This has been truly exciting and insightful, and excited to see where you guys continue to grow.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dave.